Welcome to the Fitness Marketing Agency podcast. This episode is a little bit different. This is a session from our most recent client-only mastermind with one of our top performing gym owners, Dan Moore from DM Elite Training, who has built a £70,000 per month gym business. And in this episode, he reveals exactly how he's built that business. He also breaks down the finances and showcases how he has created 30% profit margins within his business every single month, as well as the organizational and structure and systems that allows Dan to be able to take 2-week holidays while the business still runs smoothly. Next week, the podcast format will be resuming as normal. We hope you enjoy this episode.
I'll try and make this as, enjoyable from your point of view as possible. I know it's a tough point today. Like Ben said, we've been with FMA since, similar to Daniel, back end of COVID, so 4 years roughly. We had one gym then. In comparison to this, we were at like 25k a month, I think. Obviously, business took a little bit of hit. And on that journey over the last 4 years, we've stuck to the same sort of model. We've iterated in it. We've bettered some things. We've improved our marketing. But I guess for today, I want to really pop the hood on a business. I know sometimes as you sit there, I've been to a lot of these things. And you hear things and you try and piece it together in your head. How it would work as a gym, and there's only so much depth, I guess, I can go into this today, but what I'd like to, go into is really basically what our business looks like, org charts, what our expenses are each month, what our turnover is, what our profit is, what my belief is work for us in terms of labour to turnover ratios should be, what I think operating expenses to turnover ratios should be, staff to turnover ratios should be, premises to turnover ratios would ideally be, to essentially spit out a number which essentially we'll shoot for, which is 30% a month in profit. And that 30% profit, there's a manner of ways you can look at that. Is that with the owner involved? Is it with them not involved? For context, I don't do sales calls and don't coach anymore. I still will do sales calls and still coach if push comes to shove. And I guess as gym owners, you're only ever 1 or 2 people leaving away from being back into business, and I'm fully aware of that. But we've structurally got the business to a point now where it does do 30% profit without us having to be in the day-to-day. The last 3 months have been 70k. In fact, one of the months, I think it was 79k through it was basically an error. We found money that we didn't know we had over 2 years in a different account. And anyway, it wasn't like block payments or anything like that. None of the turnover is like any paid in fulls. Our paid in fulls are amortized into the whole year. So we just essentially divide our block payments into 12 months and put that into our turnover. So none of this is reflected in that. So that's my goal for today. And I guess I think as gym owners, we get excited about revenue, sales, low churn, new equipment, new racks, leads, sales, new followers on Instagram, taking coaches to nice places, really showing off and externally showing a business that looks an outside in to be doing really well. And I've been, from this point of view, when deep down you personally maybe know you aren't taking what you want from the business, your business maybe isn't as successful as you'd want it to be. Like Dan alluded to there, it's really, there's levels to it, and you go through levels and you're happy, you plateau, you get bored, you change things, been through all of that. So really this is just a case of me giving my lessons, what really has worked for us, and what I hope could potentially work for you. Like I said there, are you making money? Is the gym providing you life you want to live and beyond? Do the economics of your business match and align with your goals? And I don't just mean goals for the business, I mean tying everything back to personal. Because at the end of the day, most of these gyms that we have aren't probably sellable. Even the best ones, very difficult to sell. They are largely reliant on the owner. So you have to make sure, I guess, that if there isn't a big payday down the line, that we are, taking as much from the business, from us personally, which feeds into our future. 5, 10, 15, 20 years in the line, I always try and live 5 years ahead of where I want to be. And that's sort of worked for me over the last 10, 15 years through back when I played football to now, having the gym. I've always liked being ahead of myself, probably too ahead of myself at times, to not maybe appreciate the present, so to speak. But, and just do you do stuff because you see other people doing stuff? Actually, I find from these things now that actually the less you take away from this that actually works is better than just taking a big page of notes and try to punch lots of things in, tell the staff on Monday that we're doing loads of new things, and they're they freeze, you get frustrated, wonder why they aren't implementing stuff. And I think this all comes back to, like, again, levels where you have to know where you're at in the business now. I think awareness always precedes change. You have to actually take a deep understanding in terms of where you're at, both in terms of business numbers, metrics, personal numbers, metrics, and what you've got that attention on. I guess energy will flow too. Again, going back to Dan, I think he said, like, how often do you check your financials of business? Like, we'll probably check every day, every week, what clients are maybe hitting in terms of PBs, what we're benching ourselves personally. It's like, well, that's probably not the thing that's going to make our future over the next 5-10 years, like, create the stimulus that we want for our life. So there's little things like, are you looking at do you have a rub in your cash flow? Do you know how much money should be in your account at different points every single month? If not, you probably should. Is your cash flow quite predictable in terms of turnover, in terms of costs? If not, again, that's maybe something in there that we could lean into. And so just give you some different ideas in that. In terms of, I don't want to go into like programming and things like that. You can spend all day and things like that. But I know some people may be quite curious in terms of the model. It's a group training model. It's a 1-to-10 ratio, where you call it small group, medium group, large group, whatever group works for us. I guess it's how it's coached. I like to think. I think you can coach 1-to-6 really shit. I think you can coach 1-to-10 really well. Depends what works for you. And the economics of 1-to-10 work well for us. We need less staff. With having 2 sites now, it helps us. It's more scalable, I think, than 1-to-6. Our yield in our main site is 155 due to maybe some legacy members. We've got 305 recurring there. We've got very little trialists, to be honest now. This is mostly recurring members. 305 in site 1 at 155, and in site 2 we've got 135 at 165. We opened Inverness in 2016, so 8 years ago, just over 8 years ago. We're in our second site in Inverness. We went from a 1,500 square foot to like a 4,000 square foot, and grew quite quickly. But the second gym's going at a faster rate, I think, due to like maybe greater brand equity in the local market. Just getting better at things as well. I think the experiences you learn from making mistakes then allow you to then input things in your business with a lot greater confidence, and you're not really guessing. We opened Nairn, our second site, which is 20 minutes away from Inverness, August 2023. Since it opened, has never needed me, never really known me. They still know me, like they know me in connection with the brand themselves, most of the socials and events, but it's never really needed me. So site 2, I've largely not really been there that much. It opened with like 70 members, and we're at 100 members within 3 months, and the capacity for that gym's like 150, so it's quite close to capacity. It's quite a small gym. Expenses are quite low. And the second one for the opening site 2 is to give, again, staff a path. If you've got good staff, it's very difficult to like say, oh, you'll be really good at this one gym. I think we had Erin, who runs our second site, had been with me for 8 years, had seen the whole business grow, and I never wanted to lose her, so I almost had to create a pathway for her, I felt, to give her something to sort of chew on and to excite her. Not that she was pushing for it, but I just like sensed that it's what she needed, like, because she was going to go stale if she stayed in site 1. So she's she has no ownership in the business, but she is essentially runs that gym, gets paid a good wage, and she's able to do more with her life with that extra income from site 2. So that was the reasons behind opening site 2. This is the org chart. So myself and Amy, husband, wife, we're both directors, own half the business each. Obviously that has a lot of tax benefits as well. Obviously speak to the accountant about that, but obviously if you're a husband-wife business and husband and wife both are involved in the business and both aren't directors, and you probably should, because you can split all your tax in half, essentially. That's what we do. Got a head coach in each gym. Matt, our head coach in Inverness, our original gym, he's just relocated from Gloucester with his family. He ran a CrossFit gym in Gloucester, somewhere around there, for 12 years. And he wanted to move up to the area. He saw our staff. We'd sort of communicated for 6, 9, 12 months, and was in a position to like give him free rein to like be the head coach in site 1, which was probably a harder transition than actually opening the second site, because site 1 was all I knew, and I was more tied to that. But that's in a sort of phased process now of me not being involved with even the staff meetings or coaching now. Really, our job now is to, like, I guess, coach these guys and mentor these guys to mentor these guys, and these guys mentor, I guess, and coach the clients. That's the sort of structure we have. Cherie, On the right, she's an operations manager, so she does everything bar coaching, sales, any sort of marketing stuff that needs implemented via FMA, any accounting stuff, HR, dealing with inquiries, that sort of stuff. But she can do it between 2 gyms, so that can almost be split in half in terms of expense point of view. And with the coaches beneath that, so we have 7 coaches between the 2 gyms. Because it's quite close, if push comes to shove and site 2 is struggling with holiday sickness, we can use site 1 if we need to as well. So revenue, yeah, that should have been, that's, yeah, rough revenue in terms of like actual revenue for the last 3 months. Expenses breakdown across the 3 months, our average expenses, not including VAT and owner compensation, to being 36,000. So, yeah, I know I don't want to sound too fixed with this. I'm growth orientated. I've not got a fixed mindset, but having awareness of your expenses is very important. It doesn't matter how good your product is, it doesn't matter how good a coach you are. If you pick the wrong location and get in a bad lease, or you give staff money you can't afford and can't grow into, and they're not good enough to justify, then it's quite a difficult. You put yourself in quite a difficult situation. So our expenses, that's between the 2 gyms as well. That's combined turnover and combined expenses to run the 2 sites. I put 10 grand a month away for VAT. I got our VAT bill today. Our VAT bill was 26 grand. So once we claim back, obviously all those expenses are including the VAT. So we claim the VAT back. So roughly our VAT is like 13-14%, I think. Once we claim everything back. But staff-wise, we pay 21k out, it's obviously not including us as owners again. Operating expenses, things that run the day-to-day, miscellaneous stuff. My zone, equipment, all that sort of stuff. 7k, dealing with events. Rent and rates between the 2 sites is 7k. And rates is quite a biggie. In Scotland as well still, we don't get any help in Scotland compared to England with rates. I think you get help. We don't. That's S&P. And VAT, obviously tax is important. So essentially, have 3 accounts. We have an operating expense account, all the money goes into. We have a profit account and we have a tax account. We could have more accounts if we like really budget it like to the nines, but that's how we run the business. Money goes out every week and we get segmented into different accounts. When the VAT bill comes up, we know we've got the money. It gets pushed away, and we probably have, like with the 10 grand, we have a bit more that I end up covering corporation tax probably as well by the end of the year once we claim all that stuff back. So in terms of ratios, spoke about that at the start. To yield that 30% profit, that's basically how our business looks. Our staff is 30%. I mean, I've worked with a lot of mentors over the last like 5-10 years, and that can be anywhere. Probably it depends how much as an owner you want to be involved in the business. I guess I could still coach full time. Amy could be full time operating expenses. We could take a lot more from the business, but what it's worth for our life, we would rather hire people, spend more time with our kids, have time to think, not be like in chaos 24/7. So we've been there. It's hard. It wasn't worth it. So we definitely would rather pay good money to people that can do the business, run the business for us, and we can then make proper decisions with like a bit of clarity rather than being like rushed and reactive. I think being on the front foot and proactive in business is very important. Operating expenses, like I said, runs out at 10%. Premises, 10%. I think premises, because our rent is so cheap in site 2, and for context, our rent and rates in site 1 is £4,730. Our rent and rates in site 2 is at £1,200. Obviously, it is about a third of the size, but the price per square foot is a lot lower than Inverness. So that's why the premises is a bit lower. So moving forward now, I would like to open a 3rd, 4th gym. But I said, I know the operational capacity and our yield has got to fit into these numbers. So I know that if we're looking at a lease and what it needs to be staffed, if it's further away, maybe it's more staff. So you're thinking about all these things so we can base decisions off what we know has worked for us in the first 2 sites. So if the rent is more than definitely 15%, it's a no-go for us. We could probably push to 15%. Because from a staff point of view, I've seen that before where premises can be 15%, staff can be 25%. But again, it's just making sure we come out at that number of 30% where you run the business properly, paying taxes properly, not trying to cut corners, and still got a growth mindset in place where you are marketing hard, selling hard. Customer experience we're going deep in customer experience. And I think the longer longer you're in the business, the less new stuff you learn, especially coming to things like this, that 1 or 2 golden nuggets. It's just making sure you do a lot of things very well. It's not like we're not exceptional at anything. I wouldn't say we're exceptional at product. I wouldn't stand up here and say we're the best gym in Inverness or best gym in Scotland. Who's to judge that? It's pointless. I'm not interested in playing ego games with anyone. It's like the numbers, they don't lie. It fits our life. We enjoy it. Clients like the gym. We've got a good reputation. I wouldn't say we're amazing at selling. Far from it after listening to that today. I wouldn't say our marketing's unbelievable. Like Charlie said, I don't do anything really from a personal brand point of view when I could. I don't think anything is amazing. I just think we do a lot of things really well. We've got a lot of awareness over a lot of areas. And yeah, we work hard in it. We do work hard in it. Like although me and Amy aren't in the day-to-day, we still are spending a lot of time talking about business, thinking about business. We'll obviously take a lot home and a lot of baggage home of staff of issues. You can never get away from that. Remaining 4 or 5%, that could be more profit some months. That could be some discretionary money to spend a bit more on kits and a bit more on ad spend. If we're running ads, we haven't run marketing campaigns really at all this year. 1 or 2 maybe. And yeah, any more miscellaneous stuff potentially. A snapshot of the last 2 years. So beginning of 2023, we were hovering about like 30, I think 28 in February with site 1. 28 to 30k at the beginning of 2023. And obviously mid-2023 we opened second site. You can see the combined turnover increasing. Start of this year we're at around 58 to 60k. And over the last 4 months, we've gone from about 60-ish-k to 70k. To be totally frank, without any paid marketing, I don't want to go against guys at FMA here because we just couldn't do it. We didn't have the bandwidth to sell. We had a big transition with staff. Could have done it again in a rushed way, but it would have been for the wrong reasons. A lot of times going into Meta 365. We've done that all year. That's worked really well. Email marketing 3-4 times a week, referrals, social media calendar with staff. All staff have responsibility with social media, and that social media calendar really feeds a lot of like organic leads and things like that as well. So there is a lot of marketing going on. There's not a lot of paid structured campaigns like Live Well and so on. Although Live Well has been the one that worked well for us. I think beyond that, then it's thinking, okay, profit's all well and good, but like, what do you do with the money? Work back from longer term goals again. And using the same principles as personal life, like monitor, like although you have a rub in your cash flow every day, every month, you should know how much profit you should be able to take from the business every month. You should also know how much money goes out of your personal, like again, Dan alluded to before. If you look at your personal account every day, if you look at your business account every day, you can't avoid the numbers. You might not like it, but that awareness, again, precedes that change where you actually, like a client comes to you, they may be saying, I'm not losing weight. Have you tracked your calories? No, you know they're kind of eating 500,000 calories more than they are, but they're not admitting it. It's probably the same as a business owner. It's the same. There's so many correlations between like what you coach as a client in terms of what you should coach yourself. So it's, I think, largely taking your own advice a lot of the time. And like you say, a client, you need a bigger goal, you need a bigger why. Again, as business owners, we need a bigger why than programming. We need a bigger why than, like, things run out. You know, you run out of future yourself sometimes, I think. And having that bigger goal with personal life, whether that is like booking 3-4 holidays ahead of time, so you have like those planned in, making sure that you have your sort of profits are going into your pensions. It's really reducing that corporation tax down, and it feeds your life. Like personal goals for us, really, we'll open a third site, but we also know that the money we're putting into our pension that is profit we can reduce our corporation tax with. We can then go and, if we have the opportunity to, we can buy the commercial property and lend against our pension, essentially, to buy our commercial property so we aren't paying rent on the gyms. Anyone that owns the gym will obviously know this, but we're paying into our pension rather than paying rent. So it's not so much dead money. So that's like sort of a goal for us as well as Site 3. And just like stashing away as much as we can over the next 10, 15 years. These are hard assets to sell, but there's not to say that you can't, if you don't utilise both your pensions over 10, 15 years, you don't have 2.5 million, I don't know, roughly, to, I guess, retire with when you're 55, or probably when we retire 58, 59, 60. Depends what Labour do. So knowing your exit, it's not to say I don't have an exit, I don't want to sell my gyms. Everyone's got a number. If somebody offered you something stupid tomorrow, you'd probably consider it, but it's not it's not paramount for us. It's more having ourselves in a position where we can have options, decide, and potentially even give, again, staff more opportunity longer term if we have the 2, 3, 4 sites, whatever. 2 sites we're happy with, but you can't force things like this as well either. It's difficult to get the right locations, right staff to run these sites, and that's what we found. So hope you've enjoyed that in terms of a deeper dive into like behind the scenes of the business. I'm happy to answer any questions that you think you'd want in more detail. I'll try my best. Be great if you could give me a follow on Instagram. I know I got a lot earlier from the social media stuff, but please give us a follow. If you could give us a message to let us know how you found that. Any more questions, I'm happy to help. I do some stuff informally, happy to help with that if I can be of any assistance, and that's the gym's handles as well.
Hey, we'll get back to the episode in just 1 minute, but I just wanted to offer you the opportunity to get our free sales objection booklet and wall chart. There is nothing more frustrating than being told by a prospective client that they need more time, they need to talk to their partner, or they can't afford it. If you want to convert more of your prospects into clients, help more people, and earn more money, then this resource is for you. If you head over to fmasales.co, you can grab your free resource there.
Dan, let's just kind of kick things off. So 300 members in the first site, I think it was 150 or 160 in the second site. What is the kind of attrition rate of the main location overall?
I know blended churn, but the churn's pretty similar in both. The blended churn across both, for the average for this year, it's about 2.6.
Yeah.
So we just shoot for under 3. Like last month was like 0.7. 1 month was 3.5, but when you look at it as a blended attrition over the year, we just try and make sure it's under 3%, because when you're beyond 3%, it's quite difficult no matter how hard you sell to grow.
And to get a coach-led business to 300 is quite a difficult feat. A lot of people will go 200, 250, and maybe that gap is a little bit difficult to fill. Do you know roughly how many people you had to kind of net gain every single month to get there? And was that over a long period of time that you built it up, or kind of run me through that process?
I know that when we opened site 2, a lot of people said to me, site 1 will suffer. Site 1 was at 34, 35 when we opened site 2. It's now at 44, 45. So site 1 has grown like 10k a month since site 2 opened.
And to kind of talk about, first of all, your thinking about getting the second location, and then we'll go into actually how you've managed to make the first location more successful as well as the second location. So you had an end goal in mind of why you went to get a second location. Like a lot of people might get the second location because they think it's the next logical step, or kind of like the cool thing to do. But did you always have that plan of, this is going to be my pension fund? This, like that was what you knew the goal was? No,
that just like kind of came through like personal learnings, I think. I like finance. I quite like studying that sort of stuff. Quite like that's just a natural, speaking numbers, speaking about gyms is just something I like doing. So it fitted into that. So.
And building up the first location simultaneously as the second, business can be very chaotic. How did you manage to kind of, I guess, organize yourself and make sure the correct amount of energy was placed on both so they would both grow simultaneously?
Just going back to the org chart, I think it's clear roles and responsibilities, yeah. Like, as soon as you give staff, especially, like, if you say to, like, I think there's got to be clear ownership of certain roles. I think if you say to 1 or 2 people, you both can kind of do marketing or both kind of do social media, like, one trainer will just blame the other trainer, and they both won't do it, and you'll do it. So I think one of the things we really try and get across the staff is really, like, to take ownership, take a job on, own it, and if they obviously can prove to do that without us asking, then that they're more valuable to us, and we quite clearly communicate that and transparent with the staff and that. If you can do things without us asking and add more revenue or take more responsibility on.
And who has an org chart in their organisation? Like, who has that laid out? Not many people. So what would this might sound like quite a simple question, but what's the process to actually map that out? Do you do that on your own? Do you do it like with the business partner team? Like, what's the process of mapping that out, and how long does it take you to do? Is it a quick exercise, or?
I guess if you have roles, it's fairly obvious. I think if you're the owner, like if you're a single site, it should be a bit easier. If you've got 2 sites, with us having 2 sites, we just had to get clear on like who did what. Then within each site, who does what within each site. Obviously, there are economies of scale, like the operations manager. We had an operations assistant before, and she was just in site 1. It was almost felt a bit a luxury. We almost didn't need it. But as soon as we opened the second site, like I said, she could work between the 2.
Yeah.
Some staff can work between the 2, so it's just been clear on like what the staff need to do as a collective day to day, and what also they need to do in terms of specific roles takeovers, social media stuff.
And did you mention you have a salesperson now? Is that or was it you
The,
who
the,
does
the
sales?
operations manager does.
Oh, okay, so that person does the sales as well as operations. Okay, nice. And so you're out of that pretty much on a day-to-day basis. And
Yeah, I mean, if we wanted to sell hard, I probably would need to do it because she's quite new, but because we've got like, I reckon maybe the max we get site 1 to is potentially 340, 350, but with that we'd have to take our member staff on, so it's weighing up whether we want to do that. Site 2 is like 15, 20 people off capacity, so that's the only reason we haven't, because our retention has been quite good for the year. We've run a lot of events, built a lot of interest up, and locally it's a small place, a small town.
Yeah.
So if you do something well and you treat people well, I think people always want to be fitter, want to be healthier, and if you treat people well and combine the both, then you'll probably have a busy business.
And you mentioned that the marketing channels, you occasionally do an FMA ad campaign, but every single month you're getting sign-ups from referrals, organic, email marketing as well. So you've kind of built an effective ecosystem, right, where every single month you're getting leads and sales from multiple different avenues. So you don't have to rely on one thing. Is that fair to say?
Yeah. We definitely can't have times where we become over-reliant on Facebook. And what I sort of say to the guys is, if I think you've used it before, is if we weren't getting our lead from Facebook, what would you do? And think like that, then use the marketing campaigns more as a cherry on top. Like obviously onboarding, like really go deep in onboarding, like making sure people get referral cards when they sign up. Onboarding process, talk to people through the onboarding process. Email 3-4 times a week. Run 1 or 2 events every month, and you'll just naturally compound that.
How long have you been emailing the list for?
10 years.
And so every single month you're getting people from that, basically.
Yeah. It's more a personal thing when I was on my own, but like I've been used to it now, and I quite enjoy the writing process. So,
yeah. How many sign-ups do you get a month on average, or is it vary?
Similar to what you said, maybe 5 or 6.
Yeah. Just from emailing the list, right? So again, like it's that process of doing the reps over and over again. Like because Dan's done it for so long, he's receiving the fruits of his labour that he's been doing from past years and months and so on. So it really does work. You've just got to be consistent. So we'll open up to questions here.
What's the difference in role breakdown between your head coach and your ops manager?
Head coach controls like programming. He coaches the coaches. He's like the head coach in site 1. He's like very into like movement mechanics, technical. He's Red Pill certified. So he's like he just because we're quite remote. The way I looked at it as well, like because he's so good technically, we now know we don't have, from a CPD point of view, he can like coach coaches and like lead that process rather than send them away, because it costs us quite a lot of money to send people away. So really it's just product, like service delivery. He might pick up some of the sales, but essentially the operations manager does everything apart from coaching, and he just controls the coaching, and they work together on different nuances if need picked up.
What KPIs do you have in place for the head coach?
I'll take part in a lot of sessions. I'll know they're good. Pretty much that's it. I'm still in the gym most days. Site 1, like training myself. So you get a rub on the energy, the feel, the cleanliness, the vibe. Clients that are long term will soon say to me if things are shit. So that's quite new to us. So we're probably yet to see the fallout or good from that, I guess.
Nice. Awesome. There's a question just back there. If you either pass it to someone halfway through or be brave and...
You mentioned you're looking at opening more gyms in the future. At what point do you, obviously you've got the 2 sites now, you said the second one's nearly at capacity. When do you look at, when I bring on the 3rd one? When you've got to the 3rd one, when do you look at bringing on the 4th one? Have you got like thresholds in mind, like profit levels in mind? Are you financing them yourself?
We've been looking for about 6 months. Like, we know where we want to be for the 3rd one. It's just like in Scotland, commercial property is so scarce, it's so hard to get that if I wanted to open tomorrow in that site, in that town, I couldn't find anywhere. So it's like we looked for site 2 for like 18 months, but we eventually went deeper and looking like when we eventually pulled the trigger. But like 6 months ago, I thought we were ready for site 3. I think we're about 60k a month, and I thought, no, I'll step back and forget about site 3, and just try and like bring more in from the 2 gyms. I think you can always like where you go from 1 to 2, 2 to 3. I think you can always earn more from like what you've already got and squeeze in. Getting more juice out the squeeze, so to speak. We're in that process just now, really.
Okay, great. So we'll wrap that up. But guys, big round of applause and thank you, Dan, for sharing all those insights there. Hey, if you enjoyed this episode of the Fitness Marketing Agency podcast and are looking to grow and scale your fitness business, then we can potentially help. If you visit fmademo.co, you can go ahead and book a call with the FMA team. Within that call, we will audit your business and your marketing process. And if we feel we can help you grow your business, we will show you the exact strategy that we are utilizing for 400 plus gyms across the world right now to show you how you can grow your business. So all you need to do is visit fmademo.co.